those usual like 30, 60 seconds, something like that, of this very awkward moment in which I might be live, I might not be live, and I'm waiting for some feedback, I guess, from YouTube to hear that everything is good. Okay, cool. I see that I'm live. Welcome, everybody. Super excited to be here once again to talk about what basically has become maybe the only topic that people care about in the world of AI, which is AI agents. It's something I love to talk about because I feel like there's so much noise, there's so much chaos, so many things that people, say and spit out on the internet. And I feel like my role in this whole chaotic world of AI is to try to make it a bit easier for you to understand. Try to give you a little bit of a direction. I want to be some sort of compass. Um, if you want me to be, okay, because you might think that actually you disagree with my takes. So in case you disagree with my takes, no bad feelings. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so that we can get started. Here we go. Boom. Build your own AI agents. Today we're gonna do a few different things. We're gonna try to understand what the hell is an agent, because I think that's really important. Having an idea of what actually is an agent is how can we build one if you don't know what one is, right? How can we build stuff if we don't know what we're talking about? So I've done a similar webinar in April, but I think a few things have changed and we've refined quite a lot the way that we teach these topics. So I really wanted to do a new session to make this, to update you a little bit. So let's start with this. I always love doing this exercise so that we know how many different people are here and where you're coming from and why are you here. So don't overthink it. Tell me in the chat, where are you connecting from? What do you do? And what is the first word that comes to your mind when I say AI agent? So these are the three things I would love you to write in the chat. And let's see how many different nationalities we have. Let's see how many different people we have. And let's see what you think is an AI agent. If you have taken already an AI Academy course and you have our definition, which I think it's obviously the best because it does make a lot of sense, don't spoil that for everybody else. Otherwise, the whole point of the webinar is null. But let me know. Write in the chat. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's. Let's see where you're coming from and what is your take on what the hell is an AI agent before I try to give you my take. Let's go. Let's see. Don't be shy. Let's network. Let's see who's here. Okay, I see some messages coming up, even though my YouTube player is oddly not showing me everything. I don't understand why. Give me just 1 second. I see there's a live chat, but I can't see the messages. So give me a sec. Okay, cool. Now I can see them. We have somebody from Netherlands, somebody from Texas, somebody from Sweden, Netherlands, Sweden. So far, Sweden and the Netherlands are winning, which is kind of fun. And then we have somebody from Texas. Who else do we have here? I see that there's way more than 5 people. We have Andre from Austria, e-commerce software development, and the first word that comes to your mind is hype. Hopefully, if I do a good job, the first word that's gonna come to your mind in a little bit will not be hype anymore. Okay. So what else do we have? Brazilian living in Sweden, Anna. We have AI agent. It's more than just a workflow. Pascal, I have another question for you then, which is what is a workflow then for you? Anna says, the Brazilian living in Sweden. I have my own business, candles. Candles, interesting. Something that makes my life easier. That's your definition of an agent. And I guess I agree. That's what I want as well. We have Jane, who's a dietitian from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Teach AI to your peers. Amazing. I would love to hear more. So you teach AI to dietitians in Atlanta. Amazing. This is so cool. Write in the chat, what kind of stuff do you do? Do you teach them? I'm really interested in knowing how your dietitian colleagues are using AI. The first word that comes to your mind is exciting, which is quite cool. Amazing. So there's a lot of interesting people, a lot of interesting takes. I quite like that. So what I'm gonna do now, it's always great to hear what you guys think and where you guys are coming from. I'm gonna start basically telling you what is my take on all this stuff. But before we get started, I love to always start with Always to start with two things. Number one, questions are welcome. I want this webinar not to be just me basically saying random stuff to you. I want this to be interactive. So please, write down what if you have any question, if you want to make any observation, but also try to focus. The reason why I say this is because free webinars like this one, I know it by experience because I was guilty of that. People tend to think, it's free, so I'm just gonna be on Instagram while this guy is talking. But I usually, I always say I charge money for this usually. So it has value. And I think if you can take 40 minutes of your time to really focus on this, I think it might be valuable for you. All right, so let's talk about the agenda. I want to start by why do we need a definition? Okay, why do we need this? Uh, can we define what is an AI agent? What you need to build one? And then last, I want to be transparent with you guys. At the end, just the last 5 minutes, I want to give you an offer for one of our programs. It's going to help you learn how to build AI agents. And I don't want to be one of those webinars that is just sales, basically. This is going to be full of content until the last 5 minutes. Because, I think this program can actually help you. So why not promoting it? All right, so let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been working on AI for over 10 years. I should adapt this now. I started off in Silicon Valley. And then when I came back to Europe, I've been a technical consultant for quite some time. And I built AI projects for some of the largest companies in the world. You can see here Procter & Gamble, Pampers. Yes, I've used AI on diapers. It was quite fun, honestly. Way before ChatGPT was a thing. Worked for Merck in Germany. And today I focus mostly on education. So I teach at Harvard and sometimes in other universities. I lead all the programs at the AI Academy, is a company specialized in non-technical AI education. And this is the company hosting this webinar. And I also run an AI startup called Epiphany. I'm very active in the field of AI ethics. That's something super important for me. And I'm gonna talk about this a little bit today as well. Why having control and transparency on AI agents is super important if we want to build ethical AI. And last, I'm from Rome, but living in Copenhagen. Actually, this is my last month in Copenhagen. I'm gonna be moving to London soon. So I see there are some people from London. Kalika, if you have recommendations for neighborhoods I should move to, let me know. I still don't have an apartment. All right, so let's get started. Let's start by trying to define what the hell is an AI agent. But I want to start with two alerts. The first one is that I'm an engineer and I love definitions. So this is going to be very nerdy. Not nerdy in the sense that it's technically complex to understand, but in the sense that I really think that it's important to have a good definition. It's really important to have a good definition. And the other alert is that I'm a little bit frustrated by the AI industry's chaotic hype. So I've been in this industry for, again, more than 10 years. And I've seen, there's always been hype, but the amount of hype there is now, it's crazy. Because I've seen a lot of people who are just not, well, how can I say this in a nice way? They're not fluent in the technology. They are talking about the technology. And it's fine. I want everybody to talk about this. But obviously, when you're not fluent in the technology and you try to influence others on LinkedIn, then you influence people spreading misinformation or not making it clear for people what is going on. And that to me is a little bit, it's very frustrating. So apologies if in this webinar I'm going to sound a little bit frustrated because I am a little bit. But I'm going to try to convince you of why I think we need a good definition and what is a good definition for me. If you don't believe me, it's fine. I'm not going to be angry at you, okay? So let's start with this. OpenAI released an ebook. It's free. You can just find it by searching on Google, OpenAI, a practical guide to building agents. But I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this. There's a lot of good stuff in it, by the way, a lot of good stuff. But again, there's a problem. I find this very confusing for people, which they start with their own definition of AI agents. And I want to try to explain why I don't think it's a good definition. So let's start with this. This is like literally a screenshot. OpenAI starts by saying, what is an AI agent? Agents are systems that independently accomplish tasks on your behalf. This is their definition of an agent. I'm going to try to tell you and show you very easily why I don't think this is a good definition. If an AI agent is a system that independently accomplishes tasks on my behalf, you know what else is completing tasks on my behalf? My dishwasher. My dishwasher washes the dishes on my behalf. So since it does tasks on my behalf, then my dishwasher is an agent, right? I'm sorry for being very nerdy and almost, Aristotelian in my use of logic. But it's important to have definitions. This definition doesn't work because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't fit this definition. But then, this is why they make it so, I feel like, confusing for people. Because they start by saying this is what an agent is, and therefore, according to the definition, my dishwasher is an agent, my oven is an agent, my, car is an agent, this microphone in some way could be an agent, is doing tasks on my behalf. No, that's a tool more than an agent. But anyway, there's a lot of things that fit this definition. But then they start and go a little bit deeper into this. They say, if you have an application that integrates LLMs but don't use them to control workflow execution, simple chatbots, single-turn LLMs, or sentiment classifiers, these are not agents. So they go a little bit more in depth. And then they start saying, an agent has to leverage an LLM to manage workflow execution and make decisions. Recognizes when a workflow is complete and can proactively correct its actions if needed. In case of failure, it can halt execution and transfer control back to the user. So now it's getting a little bit messy because it's like they're saying it's something that takes action, but anyway, hold on. It executes tasks, but it also needs to make some decision and understand if the workflow is completed. If not, it can fix it. Okay, starting to get a bit messy. And then he also says he has to have access to external tools, but these tools must be both to gather context and it's getting messy here, And I feel like how can we? This is my problem. I feel like my role is to help people gain clarity and understand what is going on in AI so they can take actions. How can I help people if I don't know, I can't even explain them what I can help them with? So this is why I think it's important to define AI agents. And I'm going to do it, by the way. I'm going to give you a definition that hopefully is way clearer and more useful than what you read now. This is why I think it's important. We need to have a common definition so that we can talk to each other. If I think that an agent is something and you think that an agent is something else, how can we work together? And to be very practical, if you're working in a company and you want to work with your IT team, you need to explain them what you want to build. And if you don't have a shared language, how the hell are you going to collaborate proactively? Right? Number two, we need to have clarity and fight the hype. I see people on LinkedIn saying, I built an agent, but nobody says what an agent is. And it's so funny. Little anecdote. I had this conversation with somebody who said, I built an agent, and I asked this person on LinkedIn, what is an agent? And he gave me a definition, and I was like, I broke it down exactly like I did with OpenAI. I basically said, according to your definition, this dishwasher is an agent. And this person said, oh no, try it and see it feels like an agent. I'm like, what the hell? It feels like an agent? Guys, reason number three. We're talking about technology, not science or like feelings. It's tech. We should have definitions that are solid. We need a good definition. So can we come up with a better definition? And I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes-ish to try to define an agent with you. And then I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes showing you a little demo of an agent that we built. Okay? So you can actually see it. I'm going to try to show you also how we did it. So first of all, I asked ChatGPT, so you see, OpenAI could have literally asked ChatGPT, what is the definition of agent? The word agent has rich etymological history rooted in Latin. And it basically says that it comes from the root word agere, or agere, I don't know what's the pronunciation, but it means to do or to act, okay? So this is a good definition. It's the AI Academy definition of an AI agent. We're going to unpack it for you, and you're going to see how useful it is if you have this sort of like guiding principle, basically. An AI system is something that can take actions. Action is the key here, okay? Using different tools with some degree of autonomy. You don't have to screenshot this, by the way. If you want, do it, but we're going to send you the recording so you can watch it as many times as you want. But I'm going to try now to unpack it and explain to you why this is a good definition, a useful definition, right? So first of all, system. I told you I'm a nerd, and I love definitions. I'm going to go step by step. What is an AI system? An AI system is a series of technological components in which AI is one step, one part of them. So a system might have an LLM, a large language model, like GPT models, GPT-4, Claude, any of this, that is connected with something else. Again, it's a system. So this something else might be different tools, might be different ways to get data as an input, might be different ways to push data out into the world, ways for users to interact with it. You can imagine an AI system like a car. The LLM is the engine, but the engine is connected with other tools. It's connected to a steering wheel, connecting to the acceleration, the brakes, the clutch, etc., etc., the wheels, the chassis of the car. This is what a car is, a system. An AI agent is also a system where the LLM, the AI, is a component. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to think about. We're talking about agents, we're talking about a system, not just AI, is AI plus other software things. First thing that I want you to think about, all right? Number two, actions. That's the second very important word here. Let's understand what actions mean. I mean, it sounds quite straightforward, but it's good to make an example. This is an example of non-agentic AI. I asked an LLM, like ChatGPT, write a LinkedIn post about something. The LLM says, sure, here's your post. This is not an action. It's just spitting out words. Agentic AI would be something like this. I'm asking it, write a LinkedIn post about this topic and post it on LinkedIn. And the LLM is actually taking an action of posting this, right? Of posting this on LinkedIn. And I love Pascal, you're giving me a really good point. Pascal is asking, why not use a person avatar with the LLM being the brain? And I don't know if, our director of the stream, if you can put this question on Riverside on the stream so people can read it. It's a really good point, Pascal. The reason why I don't want to do this is because, and this is a little bit philosophical for me, I do not want to anthropomorphize, you say that, right? AI. AI is a thing. It's not a person. It's an it, not a he or a she. So I'm trying to stay as far away as possible from human-like metaphors. But that's, again, just me being very careful about ethical implications and being very, I guess, transparent with people. Transparent maybe is a good objective. Okay, so this is the first thing that I want you guys to think about. It's about actions. And this is an abstraction, okay? So we saw an example with LinkedIn posts, but again, input, LLM, action is more generic. One thing that I want to point out is that what I just described is actually against OpenAI's definition. Because OpenAI says that an important part of an agent is deciding on which workflow to execute. And again, I disagree with that, because agent doesn't mean decision making. Agent means taking actions. So for AI Academy and for me, something like this, something that takes an action without decision making, is what we call a static agent. I love this definition because it's so clear in my mind, at least. And I want you guys, you let me know, please write in the chat, Gianluca, I agree with you. Amazing. Thank you. Or write me, Gianluca, you are an idiot. I do not believe in what you're saying and I don't agree. Feel free to do that. This is, again, I don't want this to be, my sage on a stage kind of webinar. I want people to just exchange ideas. But the reason why we call this a static agent is because it's static. It always does the same thing, but it takes an action with a tool. agent means taking action. So that's why we call this a static agent, which is the most simple kind of agent. All right? Cool. Next step. The next word that I want to break down for you from the definition is tools. Okay? So what I mean by tools, in my example before, the tool that AI was using to perform its action is LinkedIn. And this is a screenshot of an automation tool. It's called make.com. And this is a tool that we teach people how to use because we have a partnership with them and it's a great tool, very flexible. We love it. So if you get into an AI Academy program, you get a few months of their pro plan for free. So you can build your own automations and agents and workflows. And it's just an example to show you what a tool might look like in practice. AI cannot use right now, or it shouldn't use physical tools. Like, I don't know, a hammer. Please don't give AI access to hammers, all right? So this is the kind of tools that AI will have to use. And if you see this as a tool, you understand that there are a few different things that AI needs to be able to do. It needs to be able to use the content box, the media type box, the visibility box, the feed distribution box, the mentions box. There's a few different, elements to this tool, okay? So when you prompt AI, and now we're getting into how to build those AI agents, you need to take account of the fact that AI has to be able to use those tools correctly. And the way that AI uses those tools correctly is by using language. So this is an example of a prompt that you might want to write. Write the content, who to mention, the media types, the visibility, and where to distribute it. And so this is an important thing to understand. When you use AI today, you're using large language models. Language means that the only thing they have to use language to perform action is to use language, to use words. All right? Then they need normal software to execute the commands. They use normal software to execute whatever, to basically turn their language commands into actions. Okay? This is really interesting because a lot of people ask, how do I connect this AI thing to this tool? Well, through language. You need to be able to use language correctly. And a big part of what you remember when people talked about prompt engineering, it's still a thing. Prompt engineering is a lot about teaching AI to use those tools through language correctly, reliably, predictably, in a predictable way. Okay, sorry, my English sometimes gets lost. All right, so it can get quite complex. I want to put a screenshot here of a real agent that one of our team members built. This is, his personal assistant, basically. And each one of those nodes that you can see, each one of those little pieces are basically connections between AI and tools. And I can see from here, there's a few different tools he used. Telegram is a tool. Airtable is another tool he used. What else? Google Calendar is another tool. So he connected AI to a few different tools, and he did that, step by step. So again, it can get complex, but everybody can do it. This is one of my favorite students. She's, I think she's, I hope that I'm not saying her age wrong, but I think she started working with AI stuff over when she was 60 something. First time that she built something, and this is a screenshot of how impressed all of us were when she presented this at the AI Academy demo day. So anybody can do it really. She started with zero experience in AI automations, and in 2 months, she built something quite complex. Okay, so everybody can do this. So don't stress too much about this. But it's important that you understand that AI can interact with different tools, and you need to be able to teach AI how to use all these different tools. Okay. Then last thing, some degree of autonomy. This is another important thing. So a lot of people say that agents are autonomous. And this is something that really stresses me out when people talk about autonomy, okay? So let's make an example. If somebody says, book a cheap holiday with my girlfriend for a sunny place this summer, let's say that this is a flight booking agent, okay? And this is what this agent should do, should be able to book flights for you. Well, how much autonomy do you want to give this agent? Do you want to allow it to look at your calendar? Yeah, sure, that might be okay. Maybe look at your girlfriend's calendar. Now we're getting creepy. Do you want it to be able to autonomously ask your girlfriend for her preferences? Search for flights? Choose what tools to search for their flights? Like Google Flights, Booking.com, can it do anything? Can it define what cheap means? Can it get access to your bank accounts? Should he ask you first, or should it be fully autonomous and literally book the flights for you, use your credit card? You understand that autonomy, there's different levels of autonomy. How much autonomy do you want to give it? Full autonomy? That's insane. I would never do that. I would never build an agent giving full autonomy to take all these decisions, to do all of these things, to connect with all of these tools. It's insanity. I would never do that. I would rather give it some autonomy and keep the rest for either normal software or to me. Okay, I can take my credit card and put it in. Okay, or I can click OK. I don't want to give full autonomy. So let's go back to our definition now that we've talked about all these pieces. An agent for AI Academy, and this definition works so well for us, is an AI system that can take actions using different tools and some degree of autonomy. So system means that it's different things. It's not just AI, different things working together. Actions means that it can do something. Post on LinkedIn, search for flights. You decide what these actions are, and you need to set them up. And using different tools could be anything, but through language, that's important, and some degree of autonomy. And you decide, you're in control. You can be the builder of these agents. So you've seen how we have showed different kinds of agents, different degrees of autonomy, different degrees of freedom, so to say, different degrees of different actions that they can take. So I want to show you the three main kinds of agents then. We call them static agents, dynamic agents, and AI routing dynamic agents. They sound super complex, but actually pretty straightforward. Static agents always do the same thing. They can do one thing only, like post on LinkedIn. They're super valuable. They're really valuable. So it's not because they're simple, they're not valuable. They can really change your business or make you super productive. Super valuable, much simpler. And for me, simple is good. Because if something is simple, it's easy to improve, it's easy to debug, it's easy to control. Then we have dynamic agents. Dynamic agents are a little bit more complex. Dynamic agents don't always follow the same path, but they might follow one path or another. But dynamic agents usually have a beginning and an end. So they start with something and they follow a line. This line might differ. So this could be, for instance, let's make an example. You could tell an AI agent, hey, I want you to post this message, and the AI agent decides, am I going to use LinkedIn or Instagram? And then it posts it. That would be a dynamic agent because it can decide something. And then we have the AI routing dynamic agents. These are the super complex agents that OpenAI talks about. These are the ones that can, come up with a plan, reiterate on the plan, and do these super nerdy things. But these are really hard to build and really hard to control, most of all. Honestly, I've rarely seen an AI routing dynamic agent that is reliable. It's really hard to make them work without a human in the loop. Okay? So now we have those three kinds of agents, and I want to give you a quick demo of an agent that we have built in AI Academy. So you remember before, I showed you this giant workflow. We took just a little piece of it, just a tiny little block, and we want to show you how this block works so that you can see an example, and I can show you the prompts, I can show you a bunch of different things, but you can see an example of a dynamic agent, right? So let me change the screen that I'm sharing. Let me go with screen, entire screen. All right. So I'm just going to quickly show you what this agent does. I'm going to start by showing you how it works. So we use Gemini, the AI from Google, to build this agent. It's one module here and a few different points here. Then we connect it to a few different tools. We connect it to Slack, Google Drive, and Google Sheets. And these are just things to, parse its output. Doesn't matter. But we have Google Sheet, Drive, and Slack. And this agent can do a few different things. So it can understand, basically, it can help with budgeting. It can answer general questions, or it can give information about itself. Okay? So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna demonstrate the budgeting part of the agent. All right? So what I'm gonna do now, and I hope this is gonna work, because like we don't use it, this is just a demonstration thing. I'm gonna show you this Google Sheet. Okay? I'm gonna take an expense that I have here. Okay? There's some burgers, some overpriced burgers that I bought in London some time ago. I'm gonna move this into Slack. Okay? And I'm gonna send this message to my agent. Okay? What you're gonna see soon is that on my magic Google Sheet, you're gonna see a new line appearing. Hopefully, let's see. 3, 2, 1, go. You see this new line? This has just been added. Okay? This new Prime Burger thing. And by the way, the agent also added a check mark. Okay? This is Joelle's AI agent, so it shows as Joelle. But it's the AI who did this. I can guarantee you. Okay? You need to trust me on this one. Actually, you don't need to trust me. You can just see it. You can see that the AI agent has a step in which it adds a reaction. You see? Add a reaction, white check mark. So this is what we call a dynamic AI agent, because it can decide which task, which path to go through, and which action to perform, and it performs an action. So it autonomously, again, some degree of autonomy, adds things on my Google Sheet, adds my invoice to Google Drive, and does a few other different things. And if you want to see how it's built, this is pretty straightforward. It's not too complex. It has a few different prompts. This is what we call the decision-making prompt. And this is a prompt that where the AI basically is trying to decide what to do. It gets my question, and it has a few different examples. This is a prompt engineering technique called few-shot prompting. So it has a demonstration of what it has to do. And it takes a decision, and it outputs basically, okay, based on what you asked me, I decided I am going to file an expense. And if it decides to file an expense, there is a new list of prompts. This one, for instance, this one takes my invoice and extracts date, categories, and all these different things. And then you see, it knows how to communicate with other tools. This is, it looks a bit, if you're not into programming, it can look a little bit daunting. It's like, what is this stuff? What is this formatting thing? I don't understand it. But don't worry, it's not hard. You can totally get it. It's called a JSON format. And this allows this AI module to interact with Google Sheet and then with Slack. So as you can see, it's actually, it's a few different easy steps all connected together. And this is what allows you to really build something that is useful, all right? Something that can really help you out. And as you can see, you don't need to build the super complex things that OpenAI talks about to create business value, right? This is a much simpler agent than what a lot of people try to build when they want to build something complex, but it still can bring a lot of value to your business. And again, it can do a few other things. This is just a slice of Joelle's super complex personal assistant that does a lot of different things, honestly. I don't even know what it does. It does way too many things. Okay, so it's yeah, he had some fun. I think he has too much free time on his hands. Joelle, I know you're listening to this. Find another hobby. Stop automating stuff. I'm joking. So now let me close with my tips, and then I'm gonna give you, an offer for you to learn how to build all this stuff. So what are my tips for you if you want to get started building agents? So first of all, start with the end in mind. Start thinking about, what kind of objective do I have? What is my business goal? What do I want to do? Do I want to automate my entire business? Do you want, that would be weird. I don't know. Do I want to just, gain time? Do I want to, what do you want to do? And how does, a good outcome for you look like? If you have this clear in mind, it's really hard to design what your agent should do. Because once you have this clear in mind, then think about what are the minimum actions needed to achieve the goal. If you try to build something too complex, you're gonna very quickly lose control. You're gonna very quickly, build something that you struggle to manage, fails in too many different ways. It's really hard. Okay. So you want to think about the minimum actions to build something valuable that can bring value to your business or to your life. Okay. I see, by the way, some questions coming up, and I will answer them really quick. But also, I see somebody from my academy is answering already, which is great. The third thing that I want you to think about is what are the minimum tools? I see a lot of people making this mistake. They want to start by connecting 2,000 tools. Oh, I want the system to get data from Google News, and then I want it to do this, and then I want it to do that. Yeah, sure, but start with something simple. Joelle, when he built this crazy freaking AI assistant thing, he started out with something simple, and then he built things on top. So I always love when people get that rush of adrenaline when they see something, even though it's simple, but something that works end to end and can automate a part of their workflow. Even if it's just a part, but still it's done. Done is better than perfect, my friends. And then how much minimum autonomy from an responsible AI, I may even argue ethical AI perspective. You need to try to give AI just the minimum autonomy you need to accomplish your task. And the reason why is because if you give more autonomy, it's much harder to control potentially negative outcomes. All right. Imagine if this AI system actually booked these things on my bookkeeping service or filed my financial reports to the tax authorities. Oh my God. Like, if there's an error, I'm screwed, right? And then try to go and explain to your tax authorities that, oh, my AI thing made a mistake. Yeah, they don't care. It's your responsibility, right? So you want to try to give AI systems just the minimum amount of freedom that you can, to get the business value. And then once you have done all these minimum things, test, evaluate, and either you iterate until you really get something that works for you, or you expand. You don't need to stop at minimum. You can keep going and build something more complex. Okay? But if you want to expand, you can keep going. But if you see that it's not working as good as you want, you stop and iterate. Okay? So quick question from Valentina asked if there's a reason why we used Gemini rather than Claude or OpenAI for this specific workflow. The reason why is that Gemini had, I think it doesn't have it anymore, a free tier in which you don't even need to put your credit card. And since we wanted to build this for very simple demonstration purposes, we just went with that. It required a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Attention when we prompted it, because we used a very cheap model. So we could use it for free. But still, it worked. We know how to do this stuff, and so we decided to go with the free thing. Andre is asking, it says, I like these workflow tools, but it seems that serious business wants the agent to be built with Python. True. However, we have a success story with this. One of our clients, they first built a prototype with make.com. They built it really fast, really quickly, and they experimented. When they were happy with the product they were building, then they rebuilt it with Python. But make.com allowed non-technical people, so people who don't know how to code, to quickly build a prototype. And then, the nerds, the technical people jumped in and built out the rest, okay? So, really good point, Andre. Really good point. You can do both. But those workflow tools allow you to be much faster. All right, so now I just want to tell you, what should you do if you want to learn all of this? So in AI Academy, our philosophy is that courses should be practical. Education should be something where you don't just watch a bunch of videos. It's something where you build. There should be something, courses where you build something. Because by building, you learn more, but also think about how cool it is when you finish and you can show the world, I built something. Would you rather hire somebody with a fancy piece of paper from a university that says, I can do these things, or somebody who tells you, I can do these things because I've done them, look at them? I like the second kind of people, and that's the people that I usually hire, by the way. So we have a process to do this. It's the AI Academy Bootcamp process, and I'll explain how it works in just a couple of minutes. At the end, I'm going to give you a discount, by the way, so you might want to try to stick until the end. So in this process, we teach a few different things. We teach you, first of all, how to find opportunities to create value with AI. Not everything should be done with AI. We teach you how to find what can be done with AI. Number two, we teach you how to design an agent to tackle that opportunity. Basically, what that means is that we teach you how to understand what is the minimum set of tools, the minimum set of actions and decision-making freedom that you want to give to your AI. We'll teach you a process to write reusable, scalable, reliable prompts that work every time. So, prompt engineering, it's so funny. I had a little bit of a fight with somebody on TikTok a few days ago who was saying, oh, prompt engineering is bullshit. It's all about communicating well. That's because you've never built a product. If you want to build a product, you need to be able to measure, not guess, how reliable your prompts are. That's what we teach you. So if you want to sell your agent, you know how to measure that your agent actually freaking works, right? That's what we teach you. And a few other things, advanced prompting techniques, how to integrate agents with different tools, blah, 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 blah. But let me talk about how you will learn, because that's the thing I love the most. I love the process. I'm a nerd, and I like processes. So the first thing that you do is that you get access to our community, which is amazing, plus 7 on-demand modules with video lessons. It's not 7 videos, it's 7 modules, okay? So there's a bunch of lessons. And then you build your first agent step by step. Once you finish, you get graduation and certificate. Actually, we have the graduation event tomorrow. It's going to be super fun to see what our past students have built. If some of our past students are here, say hi. I like to see students here. So the steps in those live sessions are, first, we help you identify a project that you can actually build. 2, we help you break down how it should look like. So the single steps that you need to build your agent. We help you write and evaluate your prompts, build an agent with Make, and then you're going to pitch if you want. Tomorrow, we're going to have people going to pitch to me and to some venture capitalists. Probably they're not going to invest because these are, again, projects. They're not like real companies. But it's pretty cool to have, somebody who like an investor to give you feedback. And the best thing is that across all of these experience, you have access to an amazing support. We have, I think now we have 15 or 16. I think it's 16 AI coaches who are basically amazing experts in a few different things. All of them are experts in AI agents and prompting and all of that, but they're also experts in their own domains. Some of them are experts in HR, some of them in healthcare, some of them in education, some of them in design, some of them in cybersecurity. So you can talk to any of them. You can just book a call like this. You get access to this link and you can book a call with them, pick the ones that you like the most, and they're going to give you a one-on-one support call to help you build your agent. It's honestly, it's the best support systems I've seen on the education market. Okay. So by now, start thinking about how much this should cost, considering all that you have. You have me helping you out, you have all these coaches, and then I'll tell you how much it actually costs because it's probably less than you think. We already helped 200 students. I think we should update this. We're probably at 300 now, considering that we do this also for companies. If you're a company, we can do this, privately, so that you build your own projects. And so we helped, hundreds of people, and we usually sell out quite fast. I want to give you some examples of projects that have been built. Imelda built a tool to help autistic drivers while in their car get a little bit of support in case they are stressed because maybe the police stopped them or something like this. I'm so proud of this because it's not only an amazing project, but it expanded and now it's recommended by the American Autism Association. Amazing. It started off as a simple project here. Somebody else built something to automate the process of creation of concept art. Somebody built an agent to screen the regulatory process. Somebody to generate post ideas for marketing. Do you see how much variation there is? So anything that you want to build, basically you can, and we'll help you out. The thing that you can also potentially consider, and I'm about to close, so bear with me because we get to the offer in roughly 1 minute, is the membership. So AI keeps changing, and as it keeps changing, we keep updating our programs and release new ones. So you can either buy a one-off access to the bootcamp, or you can buy a membership, which allows you in 1 year to run as many bootcamps as you want. I think we do 6 per year. Joy, confirm. We should do 6 per year, which means that basically you can build 6 projects with our support. How many things are you going to build? How many things can you build in a full year with 6 different cohorts? They keep evolving as AI evolves. I love this, honestly. I'm biased. But you also get access to a bunch of new things. You get access to courses that are not about generative AI. Yes, AI existed before ChatGPT, my friends, and we were there. So we can teach you about everything else. Ethical AI, I really care about ethical AI. So that's something that you can learn as well. You can learn how I built, I led an investigation on the Guardian on gender bias, and I explain how I did it, so you can do it as well. You can also start leading your own AI ethics investigations. And again, the best support in AI education programs. I love this because our coaches are amazing. Like, I really like them as human beings, and I love that you can get access to them for one-on-one calls and more. Bunch of different things. And just go on the website, honestly. It's a bit too much. Okay? Blah, 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 blah. And we're working on an advanced AI agent course to build the super top-notch, super complex agents that we're going to be releasing only to memberships who have completed the basic agent bootcamp. This is going to come up, I think, probably in the second half. I mean, for sure in the second half of the year. We're basically in the second half of the year, but kind of soon. So if you want to join, the Academy membership is €100 off, but just until Sunday. We like to make, once in a while, we do it quite rarely, honestly, because we don't like to do, discounts all the time, right? I feel like it just gets weird. But yes, so you can get it for €100 off if you get this before Sunday. This is the link. It's also in the chat here on YouTube. This is the QR code in case you want to scan it. And your company can pay for it. There's a lot of companies who are really interested in AI agents, so we have a lot of students who actually try to get their company to fund it, and you will find on the link some instructions, some tips on how to get your company to sponsor your membership. Last thing that I want to say is, if you are a company who want to train your team, we recently helped a company in Finland build 34 prototypes of agents for the product. I think it was 34. I lost track, honestly, because they built so many things. So if you're a company who want to help your team prototype, experiment, build new things for internal productivity or external innovation, reach out to Helene at aiacademy.com or send a request through our website, and we can help you out for a custom program. All right, I think I'm done. I'm just 30 minutes late. So if there are other questions, let me know and I will try to answer all your questions. I'm going to leave this up so in case you want to take a screenshot or click on the link. In the meantime, I think there's a question from Victoria. What about Copilot Studio? Any feedback? It's great. We really like it, but it's a bit messy because we do training for companies who bought Copilot, and there's quite some configuration to do. Like, there are different ways you can set it up, and people might have different permissions. So you might want to, make sure that actually you have the right stuff set up. Okay. So yeah, but it's good. It's really good. So many different things you could do. We are like, we like to say we're tool agnostic because we care about the value, we care about the business value, and we care about the process. We teach you things you can apply to any tool. We have some of our, coaches, they have been leading workshops on Copilot Studio, on Gemini, on ChatGPT, on Claude, on anything, because what we teach cannot be applied to all of these systems. All right. So we always say, don't worry too much about the tool. Worry about the underlying concepts that you need to have in mind. Okay. I think I'm done if there are no other questions. So it's been a pleasure to spend 45 minutes with you. NA10. There's a question now from Marta. NA10 is really cool. Our advanced AI agent bootcamp is going to be mostly on NA10. We like make.com for a few reasons. Like, it's a bit more flexible and it forces you to think about things in a little bit in a different way, which we like from a pedagogical point of view. It's also really powerful. But we sort of teach both. Okay, we have some students that decide to actually use NA10 instead of Make, and they manage to do it. Marcus is asking, is the goal to build one agent per course, or is it many smaller projects per bootcamp? I'm not gonna stop you if you want to build more than one agent per bootcamp, but I highly recommend you focus on one. And the reason why, I'd rather have one thing that works really well than a lot of things that are sort of like half working. I love the ambition though. I really love the ambition. We have typically what we see is that our students build one in the 7 weeks of the bootcamp, but then after that they start building more on their own. Some of them actually, that we have one who did the last bootcamp and now she did it again, and she's building a new different version. I think she worked on something completely different. So it's really up to you, but we give you a framework that you can apply in as many times as you want. So yeah, basically we don't want you to depend on us. We want you to to know something and then you can just apply on your own as many times as you want. But really good question, Marcus. I love the ambition. It's so fun to see to see people who really want to build. I like building. I like people who build rather than speaking. That's why, when I hire people, I'm like, show me what you've done. Show me. And I think this is the same thing when, if you want to get a job in AI, people will want to see what you've built rather than the courses you've taken. Show me what you built. And that's why a lot of people who take this bootcamp, then they use the project they built as a tool to develop maybe their career as AI consultants or maybe to get a new job. I actually just heard from one of our students that he got a job as an AI transformation agent, lol, as human, that is working on AI transformation for a company. It's amazing because he started working on AI 2 years ago with one of our first bootcamps. I'm very proud of him. Thank you, everybody. I hope I'm gonna see you in class. I'm biased, obviously, but it's really fun. So I hope I'm gonna see you there. Ciao, everybody.